Good day everyone, especially to Ma'am Kim. Today, in this video, we will present our recent laboratory activity entitled Basic Measurements in the Laboratory. This experiment was conducted by Group 3 of Batch 2 with the following members: Carandang Cerces, Elia Therese Mary Rose, Estenopo Mary Crisel, Plaza Madeline, and Villaroya Jomer. Accurate and precise measurement is one of the most important foundations of chemistry. The reliability of any scientific experiment depends on how correctly we measure quantities like mass, volume, temperature, and even pH. According to Clifton of 2024, scientific work relies on measurement that must not only be accurate but also precise in order to achieve valid and repeatable results. In this experiment, we learned how to properly use basic laboratory instruments such as the beam balance, graduated cylinder, ruler or caliper, thermometer, and pH paper. Through hands-on practice, we measured different properties and applied important concepts such as accuracy, precision, significant figures, error analysis, and unit conversion. Aside from technical skills, the experiment encouraged responsible laboratory practices by minimizing waste and reusing available materials, supporting SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. It also allowed us to collaborate as a team and communicate respectfully, further strengthening our specific and analytical skills.
The following objectives were observed and followed throughout the entire experiment. 1. To accurately measure physical quantities such as mass, volume, length, temperature, and pH using proper laboratory techniques and instruments. 2. To properly calculate and analyze data using concepts like significant figures, error analysis, and percent error. 3. To determine the density of regular solids, irregular solids, and liquids. And lastly, to practice responsible laboratory techniques and promote collaborative learning.
For this experiment, we used measuring tools such as a 50 ml beaker, graduated cylinders, test tubes, droppers, beam balance, thermometer, ruler or caliper, pH paper, and samples, including water, oil, vinegar, soap solution, lemon juice, baking soda solution, and cola. We performed 6 major procedures.
For experiment A, which is measuring length, for this procedure, we measured a cuboid 3 times using a ruler or caliper, computed its length, width, and height of each dimension of the cuboid, and calculated surface area and volume. As you can see from the table, for trials 1, 2, and 3, it produced consistent results. For the length, it had 2.5 centimeters, for the width, 2.5 centimeters, and height, 1.5 centimeters, with an average of 2.5 centimeters for length, 2.5 centimeters for width, and 1.5 centimeters for height. The area of the object is 27.5 centimeters squared. The cuboid measurements showed high precision and consistency across all 3 trials. Length and width were consistently 2.5 centimeters, and height was 1.5 centimeters, confirming that the instrument worked properly and the object had uniform edges. The computed area, 27.5 centimeters squared, matched the measured values and supported a hypothesis that repeated instruments or measurements produce closely similar results. Although errors such as a parallax, hand movement, or instrument tolerance may still occur, the overall accuracy remains strong. Future experiments can use digital calipers, multiple measures, more trials, or different geometric shapes to further test measurement reliability. In short, the cuboid showed identical values in all 3 trials. This means that the instrument and method used were precise. The area computed was 27.5 centimeters squared. This supports our hypothesis that repeated measurements of a regular object will result in almost identical values.
Experiment B, measuring volume. We measured water using a graduated cylinder in 3 trials, then counted the number of drops needed to make 1 ml. Percent error was computed using the accepted values. In the table, trial 1 showed 20 ml volume of water. In trial 2, we got 22 ml. Same goes for trial 3. So the average was 21.33 ml. Percent error of measured water volume is equal to 0%. Estimated drops of water in 1 ml is equal to 20 drops. Percent of error of number of water drops in an ml is equal to 0%. For experiment B, measuring volume, we measured water using a graduated cylinder in 3 trials, then counted the number of drops needed to make 1 ml. Percent error was computed using the accepted values. In the table, for trial 1, the volume of water in ml, we got 20 ml. For trial 2, we got 22 ml. And for trial 3, we also got 22 ml, with an average of 21.33 ml. Percent of error of measured water volume is equal to 0%. Estimated drops of water in 1 ml is equal to 20 drops. Percent of error of number of water drops in an ml is equal to 0%. The water volume measurements showed some inconsistency. Trial 1 was 20 ml, while trials 2 and 3 measured 22 ml, giving an average of 21.33 ml. This shows the importance of multiple trials when measuring liquids. The percent error for both the measured volume and the 20 drops per 1 ml estimate was 0%, supporting the hypothesis that careful measurement produces accurate results. Variations may be due to parallax error or improper scale reading. Future experiments should follow proper measurement techniques, use more precise tools, and perform more trials to improve accuracy. The measured water volume varied slightly, but the average was 21.33 ml. Meanwhile, the number of drops to make 1 ml was exactly 20 drops, both resulting in 0% error. This proves that careful measurement can result in accurate values even when trials vary.
For experiment C, measuring mass, a beaker was weighed 5 times using a beam balance to determine consistency, average mass, and deviation. For trial 1 to 5, the results showed a consistent 32.7 grams of mass and a consistent deviation of 0, resulting in an average of 32.7 grams of mass and 0 deviation. The mass of the 50 ml beaker remained constant at 3.27 grams across all 5 trials, giving an identical average and 0 deviation. This uniformity demonstrates strong precision and confirms that the same object weighed repeatedly under unchanged conditions should produce consistent result. The findings support the hypothesis that repeated mass measurements with the same balance yield very similar values. In short, the beaker mass was consistently 32.7 grams in all 5 trials, resulting in 0 deviation. This indicates high precision, although accuracy may still depend on instrument sensitivity.
Experiment D, measuring density. For this experiment, we measured the density of 3 things: regular solids, irregular solids, and liquids. For regular solids, we used the cuboid. Using a beam balance, its mass was measured to be 6.6 grams. Its dimensions was measured using a caliper, with its length being 2.5 centimeters, width being 1.5 centimeters, and height being 2.5 centimeters. Using this, the volume of the solid was calculated, which is 9.375 cubic centimeters. And its density was calculated to be 0.704 grams per cubic centimeters. The cuboid measured 2.5 centimeters times 1.5 centimeters times 2.5 centimeters, allowing its volume to be calculated as 9.375 cubic centimeters. Using this volume and the measured mass of 6.6 grams, The computed density was 0.704 grams per cubic centimeters. This results shows that measurements were sufficient for calculating both volume and density, supporting the hypothesis that accurate measurement of mass and volume leads to reliable computed densities. The cuboid's density and volume were properly computed. However, percent of error couldn't be evaluated due to the lack of accepted values. For irregular solids, the object was a rock. Using a beam balance, we measured its mass to be 1.3 grams. In a graduated cylinder, we measured 30 ml of water. After adding the rock, the volume increased to 31 ml. We concluded that the volume of the solid is 1 ml. The density of the solid was calculated and it resulted to 1.3 grams per cubic centimeters. The rock's volume was measured using water displacement method, which is the standard technique for irregularly shaped objects. This allowed the experimental density to be calculated as 1.3 grams per cubic centimeter. However, because the accepted density of the specific rock sample was unknown, its accuracy and percent error could not be evaluated, limiting the ability to support the hypothesis that precise measurements should yield densities close to accepted values. For liquids, we first measured the mass of an empty beaker, which resulted to 32.7 grams. We added next is the water, which resulted to 52.8 grams. Subtracting the mass of the empty beaker to the mass of beaker and water, we concluded that the actual mass of water was 20.1 grams. Using a graduated cylinder, the volume of water was measured to be 20 ml. The density of water was calculated to be 1.005 grams per cubic centimeter. Next is we measured the mass of beaker and oil, which resulted to 49.3 grams. Subtracting the mass of the empty beaker, we concluded that the actual mass of oil was 16.6 grams. The volume of oil was measured using a graduated cylinder, and it resulted to 20 ml. The density of oil was calculated to be 0.83 grams per cubic centimeter. The percent error of water is equals to 0.5%. This is using the accepted value for the density of water, which is 1 gram per cubic centimeter. The percent error of oil was 9.8%. This is using the accepted value of water, which was 0.92 gram per cubic centimeter. The volumes of the liquids were measured using graduated cylinders, and their masses were obtained with a beam balance. These measurements were used to calculate the experimental densities of water, which is 1.005 grams per cubic centimeter, and oil 0.83 grams per cubic centimeter.
For experiment E, measuring temperature, we measured tap water and ice-cold water, then converted their temperatures into Kelvin and Fahrenheit. For the temperature of tap water, we recorded it to 3.2 degrees Celsius, converted into Fahrenheit, which would result into 37.76 degrees Fahrenheit and 276.35 Kelvin. And for the temperature of ice water, we recorded a 1 degree Celsius, converted into Fahrenheit and Kelvin scale, which resulted into 33.8 degrees Fahrenheit and 274.1 Kelvin. Tap water registered a temperature of 3.2 degrees Celsius, while ice water averaged 1 degree Celsius. These temperatures were correctly converted to Fahrenheit and Kelvin, showing consistent relationships across the three scales. As expected, the ice water had a lower temperature due to the presence of ice and reduced thermal energy, supporting the hypothesis that proper thermometer use will show higher temperatures in tap water and accurate conversions among degrees, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. In short, tap water was measured at 3.2 degrees Celsius and ice water at 1 degree Celsius. both correctly converted to Kelvin and Fahrenheit, proving proper understanding of temperature conversions.
For experiment F, which is estimating of pH solutions, we dip pH paper into different household solutions to identify whether they were acidic, basic, or neutral. Tap water served as the neutral baseline, exhibiting a green color with an estimated pH of 7. We identified 3 solutions as acidic, the pH of less than 7. Lemon juice was the strongest acid tested, showing a maroon color and a very low estimated pH of 2. Vinegar was slightly less acidic, registering a brown color and an estimated pH of 3. The soft drink was also acidic, with an orange color corresponding to an estimated pH of 4. Conversely, 2 solutions were classified as alkaline, with a pH of more than 7. The baking soda solution was the strongest base, turning blue with an estimated pH of 11, while the soap solution was mildly basic, showing a bluish-green color and an estimated pH of 8. Results. The tested solutions displayed clear differences in acidity and alkalinity based on their indicator colors. Tap water appeared neutral. Baking soda and soap solutions showed blue to bluish-green hues indicating alkalinity, while lemon juice, vinegar, and the soft drink produced an orange to maroon colors, confirming increasing acidity with lemon juice as the strongest acid. These observations closely match established pH values reported in chemistry references, showing strong agreement between experimental results and theoretical expectations. In short, results matched theoretical expectations with lemon juice, vinegar, and soft drinks as being acidic, and soap and baking soda being basic, while tap water being neutral. In conclusion, the experiment aimed to test the reliability of experimental data by measuring length, mass, volume, density, temperature, and pH using standard lab instruments. High-resolution tools like calipers and beam balances produce highly precise results, shown by zero deviation in the cuboid's dimensions and consistent mass readings. Density values for the solid, water, and oil closely matched theoretical standards, and the volume, temperature, and pH tests achieved minimal error, confirming accurate measurement and correct classification.
These results are important in food technology, where precise mass, volume, measurements, temperature control, and pH assessment are essential for product consistency, food safety, and quality assurance. Since the experimental values align with accepted standards, all hypotheses for the measured quantities were retained. Overall, the experiment highlights that proper instrument handling and error analysis are fundamental skills for producing reliable and reproducible scientific data. With that,
Thank you, Madam!